State police say 21-year-old Elijah Johnson was shot and killed at a home in Ellsworth late last night. And they say the suspected shooter is 18-year-old Christopher Harper. They tracked him down today in Newcastle. And they say he's being brought back to Washington County now to face charges.
We'll see if he wants to talk to our guys and girls down here in the major case team and see if we can get more information.
Multiple gunshots fired off inside this home on Walnut Street in Ellsworth, Washington County late last night. When state police arrived, they found a packed house, 7 to 10 people, some of them young children, and one person shot. Medics acted quickly, according to police, to help 21-year-old Elijah Johnson, but he died at the home. Trooper Rocco Gagliardi says police learned the suspect, 18-year-old Christopher Harper, and the woman who lived at the home were expecting a child together. Police said when Harper came to the home, he forced his way in, warranting that burglary charge before shooting and killing Johnson and taking off.
But for right now, we are very happy and pleased with, a full investigation from midnight to noon with an arrest. That's really good work for us.
If you're new to the channel, go ahead and hit that subscribe button and ring the notification bell. We drop real crime stories that matter, stories about our people, our communities, every single week. And trust me, you don't want to miss what's coming. Picture this, It's a quiet Sunday night in August 2025 in a small town called Ellsworth, Pennsylvania. Most folks are winding down, getting ready for Monday morning. You know how it is. But on Walnut Street, everything was about to change in the worst possible way. See, the police got a call that night, and what they found was something no family should ever have to go through. A young black man, just 21 years old, shot dead in what they're calling a love triangle gone wrong. But hold up, before you start thinking you know this story, let me tell you something. The family of this young man, they saying it wasn't no love triangle at all. They saying their boy was just trying to help a friend, and he paid the ultimate price for it. The victim's name was Elijah Thomas Johnson. Remember that name, y'all, because this is his story. State police came out saying a man was in custody that night, accused of shooting another man over what they called a deadly love triangle. This went down just after 11 o'clock on that Sunday night on Walnut Street in Ellsworth. Now, the suspect didn't stick around. Police had to track him all the way to Newcastle, Lawrence County, several counties away before they got him. Here's what went down according to the police. Christopher Harper, that's the suspect. He forced his way into this Ellsworth home where his ex-girlfriend was staying, a girl who was carrying his unborn baby. When Harper got inside, that's when he found Elijah Johnson. And man, that's when everything went left. One of the investigators said we were able to put pieces together and determine that Harper and the victim did know each other in some sort of relation, as the incident became more of a romantic relation with a third-party entity inside that residence. But see, that's where the story gets twisted, because Elijah's family, they got something completely different to say about what really happened that night. Let me paint you a picture of who Elijah Thomas Johnson really was, because this young man deserves to be remembered for who he was, not just how he died. Elijah was 21 years old, born and raised in Carnegie, Pennsylvania. Now, if you know anything about Carnegie, you know it's one of those tight-knit communities where everybody knows everybody. Elijah wasn't just some random dude on the street. He was somebody's son, somebody's brother, somebody's friend, and most importantly, he was somebody's daddy. This young man had just welcomed his baby girl into the world, and let me tell you something. That little girl was everything to him. Every picture, every memory from those last months of his life, they all showed a young father who was completely devoted to his daughter. The way his family talks about him, this wasn't some dude playing games with fatherhood. This was a young man who took his responsibilities seriously. At the time of his death, Elijah was living with his aunt, and this woman loved him like he was her own son. After what happened, she wrote some words that's gonna stick with me forever. She said, "My baby is gone, just gone. I told him not to go out there. It wasn't safe. He's never coming back. He was full of life, had his whole life to live. My heart breaks so bad. He was a good kid, never in trouble. I will never see his smile again, his face again. Please, God, give us the strength to get through this and let justice be served." Y'all, that right there, that's a mother's pain. That's the sound of a heart breaking in real time. His family kept saying the same thing over and over. Elijah was one of the good ones. Only 21 years old, a proud new father to his baby girl, a devoted son, brother, and friend. They said he adored his daughter and lived to protect the people he loved. He was never in trouble, never the one to start nothing with nobody. This was the type of young man who stood up for others, who carried himself with quiet strength. His life was just getting started, and in one night, all of that was taken away. Now let's talk about what really went down on that August night, because this is where things get real complicated, real fast. It was Sunday, August 17th, 2025. Ellsworth was quiet like small towns get at night. You know what I'm saying? At a home on 24 Walnut Street, there were several young people there. Kids and teens having what was supposed to be just a regular sleepover. Nothing special, just young people being young people. Elijah was upstairs with a young woman he had known since they were kids. Now this is important, so listen close. His family is crystal clear about this. At the time of the shooting, Elijah and this girl weren't in no romantic relationship. They were friends, childhood friends, and Elijah was just there being supportive. But see, this girl's life was already complicated as hell. She was 8 months pregnant, expecting a child with Christopher Harper. Their relationship had completely fallen apart, and what might have started as young love had turned into something ugly. Might arguments, mistrust, all that drama. She didn't want to be with Harper no more, and that decision right there, that set everything in motion. For Elijah, being there wasn't about no romantic feelings. It was about standing by someone he cared about during one of the hardest times in her life. Maybe, just maybe, their friendship could have grown into something more down the line. But that night, he was just being a good friend, being a steady presence when she needed it most. What he couldn't have known, what none of them could have known, is that his very presence there would spark the kind of rage that ends lives. Just before 11 p.m., that quiet house got shattered by the sound of a dirt bike pulling up outside. Christopher Harper had arrived. Harper made his way into that house like he owned the place, heading straight upstairs to where Elijah and the young woman were. What happened next? Man, it happened so fast that Elijah never even had a chance. In the chaos that followed, Harper pulled out a weapon. Shots rang out in the night. And y'all, this part right here is what gets me every time. Elijah never even had the chance to speak. Never got to say a word, never got a warning. His family said it best. He never even saw it coming. Can you imagine that? 1 minute you're just chilling with a friend, next minute your life is over and you don't even know why? After the shots were fired, Harper didn't stick around to face what he had done. He raced away on that same dirt bike, leaving behind terrified kids inside that home trying to make sense of what they had just witnessed. Think about that for a second. There were children in that house who saw this go down. Hours later, at 4:14 in the morning, the county coroner pronounced Elijah Thomas Johnson dead. The news reports started coming in. State police say 21-year-old Elijah Johnson was shot and killed at a home in Ellsworth late last night, and they say the suspected shooter is 18-year-old Christopher Harper. When state police got to that scene, they found a packed house, missed 7 to 10 people, some of them young children, and 1 person shot. The medics tried to help Elijah, but it was too late. He died right there in that home. Trooper Rocco Gagliardi told the media that police learned the suspect, Christopher Harper, and the woman who lived at the home were expecting a child together. Police said when Harper came to the home, he forced his way in. That's where that burglary charge came from, before shooting and killing Elijah and taking off. 21 years old, a proud new father, gone in an instant. Now, to really understand why Elijah was in that house and why Christopher Harper showed up with a gun that night, we got to step back and look at what was building up to this moment. Because this wasn't random, y'all. This was the result of tensions that had been building quietly, then violently exploded. At the center of everything was this young woman who had known Elijah since childhood. The two of them shared a deep bond. But like I said before, Elijah's family is clear about this. They weren't in a romantic relationship when this happened. They were friends, and Elijah was just being supportive during a difficult time. This girl's life was already complicated enough. She was 8 months pregnant with Christopher Harper's baby, but their relationship had completely unraveled. What once might have seemed like young love had become a storm of arguments, mistrust, and distance. She didn't want to be with him anymore, and that decision right there set the stage for everything that came next. For Elijah, being present was about offering support, standing by someone he cared about as she faced one of the hardest times in her young life. His role was simple: just be there, be a steady presence when she needed it most. But Harper couldn't let go. He had been stewing in jealousy and frustration, and when he finally acted on those feelings, the outcome was devastating for everyone involved. So who was Christopher Harper? How does an 18-year-old who seemed to have it all end up accused of murder? Christopher Harper was just 18 years old, living right there in Ellsworth, Pennsylvania. By all accounts, he wasn't some outsider or troublemaker. At Bentworth High School, he was known as a multi-sport athlete, played wide receiver and cornerback on the football team, also played varsity basketball. On the surface, this kid had talent, had teammates, had the kind of popularity that often comes with being an athlete in a small town. But underneath all that was a teenager dealing with serious emotional issues. Harper had been in a relationship with this young woman, who was now 8 months pregnant with his child. When their relationship ended, it left him unsettled, consumed by jealousy, and completely unable to accept her decision to move on. Early reports from law enforcement painted this as a deadly love triangle, suggesting that Harper was enraged over both Elijah and the girl being involved. But Elijah's family pushes back hard against that version of events. They insist Elijah wasn't romantically involved at all, he was just being supportive. From their perspective, Harper's motive wasn't about romantic rivalry. It was about control. It was about a refusal to let go of a relationship that had ended, even if letting go meant preventing violence. And on that August night, it was that refusal, fueled by anger and jealousy, that led Harper to take a gun, get on his dirt bike, and ride into the darkness to change multiple lives forever. In the hours after the shooting, Pennsylvania State Police launched an immediate investigation, and what they found started to piece together those final moments of Elijah's life. Surveillance footage from the neighborhood confirmed what those shaken kids inside the house had already told them. Christopher Harper arrived on a dirt bike that night, went into the house with a handgun, and then sped away just minutes later. Those young witnesses, who were supposed to be having an innocent sleepover, had to recount the terror of watching this confrontation unfold upstairs and the chaos that followed. By the next day, police had Harper in custody. He was charged with criminal homicide, burglary, carrying a firearm without a license, and reckless endangerment. They booked him into Washington County Jail and held him without bail. His preliminary hearing was scheduled for September 3rd, 2025, a date that Elijah's family would have to circle on their calendar, already dreading what it meant to face the man accused of killing their son, their brother, their nephew. With Harper behind bars and Elijah gone, the search for justice had only just begun. One of the investigators said, when state police major crimes took over the investigation, Harper was long gone and the home was full of kids and teens. We conducted probably half a dozen or a dozen interviews within that first hour. Troopers traced Harper to a home in Newcastle, Lawrence County, where he was taken into custody on a homicide warrant. He was later transferred to state police custody and waived his extradition, meaning he'd be brought back to Washington County to face charges. Now, from the very beginning, this case has been clouded by conflicting narratives. Police and media reports kept describing it as a love triangle turned deadly, framing Elijah as one of two men romantically involved with the same woman. But Elijah's family, they insist that is not the truth. In their words, he was simply being supportive. They believe Harper's intent was to harm the girl, not Elijah specifically. To them, Elijah wasn't a rival in any romance. He was a friend, a protector, standing by someone who needed him. His only mistake was being present in the wrong place at the wrong time. And it was his very presence that made him a target, not because of jealousy over romantic feelings, but because Harper could not accept that his pregnant ex no longer wanted to be with him. The aftermath of this tragedy left Elijah's family completely shattered. His sister wrote a message that's going to break your heart. My heart is completely shattered. My brother Elijah's life was taken from us far too soon. He was an amazing brother, father, and son, one of the real good ones. Elijah worked hard, loved deeply, and always carried himself with strength and care. He welcomed his beautiful daughter into this world just this past December, and the way he loved her showed what an incredible father he was becoming. Me and all my siblings have always been so close, and losing him like this feels unbearable. I don't know how to picture life without him in it. He wasn't just my brother, he was my family, my blood, my heart. The world will never be the same without Elijah in it, and the hole he leaves behind can never be filled. I love you forever, Elijah. You'll always be with us, and we'll make sure your daughter grows up knowing the amazing man her father was. Y'all, if that doesn't move you, I don't know what will. That's a sister mourning her brother, but also making a promise that his daughter will know who her father really was. This tragedy left two children behind. There's Elijah's infant daughter, who's going to have to grow up without her father, and there's Harper's unborn child, who's destined to learn one day the terrible truth about what her father did. In Carnegie, in Ellsworth, and across Washington County, the grief poured out. Vigils were held, tributes filled social media, and friends remembered Elijah as protective, always smiling, a good kid who never went looking for trouble. The outrage was as strong as the heartbreak, with neighbors demanding justice for a young man who didn't deserve to die. And so we come full circle in this story. Elijah's life was cut short in an instant, and for his family, that pain is going to last a lifetime. His daughter will only ever know him through stories, through photographs, and through the love of those left behind to raise her in his absence. But this murder also leaves us with questions that echo far beyond Ellsworth, Pennsylvania. Questions about control, jealousy, and the dark ways relationships can unravel. Questions about how quickly young lives can be lost to anger, and about how many more families gotta live with this kind of loss before we learn to see the warning signs. Before jealousy, control, and violence stop writing the final chapters of young lives like Elijah's. See, this case highlights something we see too often in our communities: young Black men losing their lives over situations that should never escalate to violence. Whether it's about control in relationships, misunderstandings, or just being in the wrong place at the wrong time, our young men are dying at rates that should keep all of us up at night. Elijah wasn't out here causing trouble. He wasn't involved in street life. He wasn't looking for problems. He was just a young father trying to be there for a friend, and that cost him everything. As this case moves through the legal system, Elijah's family is left to grieve while seeking justice. Christopher Harper faces serious charges, and if convicted, he could spend the rest of his life behind bars. But no amount of prison time is going to bring Elijah back to his daughter, to his family, to the community that loved him. What this case really shows us is how quickly things can go wrong when jealousy and the need to control others takes over someone's thinking. Harper was 18 years old, still practically a kid himself. But his inability to accept that his relationship was over led him to make a choice that destroyed multiple lives, including his own. This is why we got to have conversations in our communities about healthy relationships, about letting go, about dealing with rejection and disappointment without resorting to violence. We got to teach our young men, hell, all our young people, that nobody owes you their love, nobody owes you their time, and when someone decides they don't want to be with you, that's their right. For Elijah Thomas Johnson, the story ended far too soon. For his family, it will never truly end. They'll carry his memory, they'll raise his daughter with love, and they'll make sure the world remembers that he was more than just a victim. He was a son, a brother, a father, and a friend who deserved so much more than what he got. As we wrap up this episode of Mind Trace Chronicles, I want y'all to remember Elijah's story. Not just the tragedy of how he died, but the beauty of how he lived. He was trying to be there for someone who needed him, and that says everything about his character. If you're dealing with relationship issues, if you're struggling with jealousy or control issues, please reach out for help. There are resources available, there are people who care, and there are better ways to handle these situations than violence. And if you know someone who might be in an abusive or controlling relationship, be like Elijah, be supportive, be present, but also encourage them to seek help from professionals who can keep everyone safe.